Yes. Oh, this actually looks nice. All right.
All right, we're live.
Okay.
So let's give them 5 minutes to join. I'm just gonna put your poster here. Just imagine we're in a coffee shop.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna vomit.
You're gonna do great, don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think part of it's the computer issue, so now I'm extra annoyed.
All right, we're live, so we're just inviting people to join. All right, there you go. So you can share it on your timeline as well. If you can go to my timeline, you can see it's already there.
Okay, hold on. So it's on yours.
It's on my timeline.
So then, oh, I can just share it.
Yeah, so you can just share it.
Okay. Share now, share to your story, share.
Can you see it on my timeline?
Yeah. Is it share on my own? Oh, share on my own. Okay.
As well. If you can go to my timeline, you can see I shared. Yeah. Oh, my friend Summer is watching all the way from Seoul.
Cool.
And we have my friend Tatters. Tatters is from Australia. So we already have 2 continents, Asia and Australia.
Ah, this is awesome. Love it.
Hopefully there are people watching in Antarctica as well. So we're going to be completing
7 continents.
7 continents, that is, yeah.
Somebody put an iPad to the penguins.
We're able to share it already on your timeline.
And let me look really quick.
So your friends can watch it as well. Kent Faigao is watching. Where are you, Kent? I think you're in Dubai, right?
Oh, Lord, this is so nerve-wracking.
It's your first time. And also,
yes, it's my first live.
Tita Bet Bayubay from Isabela is also watching.
So how can you tell other people are watching?
You click the video, the live video, you just click it.
Did I screw this up already? Probably.
Let me check your timeline.
Ah, okay, hold on. I see what I'm doing wrong. Okay, because I didn't see it earlier. So yours says save. Okay, now it says share. Okay. Share now. All right, I think I can do this now. All right.
Great. And if you click the video, you can see your friends who are watching, but just your friends. You don't see all people that are watching.
That's fine.
That's fine. It's just your friends.
No, I haven't seen some of my friends in a long time.
Yeah, we've been locked down for like what? 3 months.
Yeah, but even think about it, I've been traveling nonstop, so I don't even see my friends.
Probably the downside of traveling too much, huh?
Yes.
So guys, feel free to ask questions because we have here April, who has traveled to 149 countries. So we're just waiting for more people to join and then we can start. We're able to share it already?
I think so.
Let me check.
Yeah, do the check. All right, cool. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, by the way, Tita Odette told me she's gonna watch, so I should send her the link.
That's exciting.
She's looking forward to this. She told me. So I'll send her the link really quick.
I think it's really early for her. She lives in LA, so it's 6 a.m. for her. It's 8 a.m. for a lot of my friends in the States, or 9 a.m.
Where is she right now?
She's in LA, I think.
gonna share it to my friends as well. All right, 3 more minutes and we can start. Do you have your coffee there?
No, I have my water. I've been up since like 3:30.
So healthy.
Oh God. Well, I didn't want you to call me out for eating again, so I actually ate breakfast.
Can actually bring like full breakfast while having this live video. It's gonna be fine with me. Already have more people joining.
Yeah, 28 people. This is great.
How many?
28, it looks like.
No, I have my water.
So on your Facebook Live, you can mute the volume. You can turn off the volume so it won't feedback.
I just turned on my computer, so I'm just focusing on you now.
All right. Okay, 1 more minute. Oh, Beam is watching. Beam is my friend who is very passionate in tennis. Hey, Beam. I don't see Tita Odette yet. Okay, guys, feel free to ask questions to April because she's traveled so much already. She's been to many countries and we want to learn about her experiences, learn from her. So feel free to ask questions. All right, we can start. All right, so hello, April. Good morning. You're in Chicago right now. April is in Chicago. So it's morning. And I'm in the Philippines, which is already 9 o'clock. What time is it there right now?
8 a.m.
Yeah, 8 a.m. So guys, April here is a very passionate traveler. So I bumped into her Instagram and I was able to meet her through our group, the Philippine Global Explorers. So if they're PGs who are watching there right now, hello to all of you. And these are a group of Filipinos. These are what we call, I think, is some of the most traveled Filipinos out there. So they formed this group called Philippine Global Explorers. So that's where I meet April. And when I knew that she's been to 149 countries and 7 continents, then I think it'll be very interesting to ask her some questions and to learn about her stories because she's been to countries that we haven't visited yet, most of us. So that will be basically just having conversation about traveling. So feel free to ask questions. So first of all, April, how are you doing there?
Hi, Regin. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. There's actually a storm coming here in the Philippines.
Oh,
So hopefully it's not as strong as Yolanda, the one that hit Leyte and somewhere.
Oh no.
No, it's hopefully it's not as strong. So I think we're good. So first we're gonna start with you. We're gonna start from the very. I really don't know where to start because when I look at your resume, so to say, 149 countries, what made you decide to travel, to have this passion for traveling?
Well, I think I started back in college and more in when I entered pharmacy school because when I entered grad school, I was able to secure financial or student loans.
Mm-hmm.
And so the government always gave more than enough student loans than was necessary. So I took the extra money to travel. Before that, my parents are immigrants from the Philippines, and so they did not put aside much money to travel unless we were going back to the Philippines to see family for special occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the extra money, and I also was working at the time part-time, I was able to take some time off during my spring breaks and my summer breaks to travel. And the first travel outside of the Philippines and the United States was to France. My best friend had graduated from college, and that's where he wanted to go after he graduated. So we took about a 10-day trip there, and that really opened my eyes. I had never been outside of the Philippines, outside of the United States. I didn't really know much outside of Chicago. So it just really opened my eyes to traveling and a different kind of life. And slowly the bug started. Yeah, it hit me. It bit a little bit. And then as the time went on through second year of pharmacy school, it was very stressful. And I thought, well, we could go here, and then we can go here, and then we can go here. And a lot of times during the semester when I was stressed out and didn't want to study, I was usually looking at what I call travel porn, which are just like travel agencies, magazines. Now it's Instagram, but back then it was travel agencies, magazines of like destinations of places I had never even thought about or even heard of. So I think that's where it started. And then as you travel, you meet more travelers, and they talk about all these places that you've never been to. And so it sparks this wonder and this wanderlust. And then it just snowballs from there.
Yeah, so it basically started when you were already working.
More so when I was a student.
Oh, you were still studying the time when you went to France?
Yes.
Who are the people who influence you to travel?
I'd say first and foremost, my father, because he was a sailor, but he didn't really start talking about traveling until I was an adult, and he realized that we had the same kind of passion. But generally, the people that influenced me or inspired me are other travelers. I can remember 2 specific trips where my first trip was after I graduated from pharmacy school. I took about a 4-month trip to Africa. I was on an overlanding trip, which meant that there were 2 drivers that drove this huge Mercedes-Benz truck converted into sort of like a bus for 23 travelers. And we would camp every night or stay in hostels. And some of these people that were on this trip were older, taking a sabbatical, which I had never even heard of. I didn't even know this was possible. Yeah. And these 2 women that were probably 15 years older than me at the time they were separate travelers, but both of them were on my trip, and they had taken about a year off, and they were describing all these places that I had never even heard of, like Patagonia or places in South America that I just had no idea. And so you fast forward later, and then around 2013, I decided I was going to go to Iran by myself, but with a guided tour. And my tour group was really small, about maybe 7 people in total, 5 Americans and 2 Europeans. And some of these places that these people had talked about, I'd never even thought about either as a single traveler. Mostly Syria, Yemen, Socotra in Yemen, North Korea specifically, because the tour company I went with specialized in tours in North Korea. So that really opened my eyes to all these unknown destinations, all these undesirable destinations that Americans were able to go to, and not even just Americans, other kind of nationalities. And it seemed better sometimes for me to use a Filipino passport than an American passport.
So when did you decide to travel to as many countries as you can? Obviously, when you were a student, you went to France and you were influenced. You meet these awesome travelers. But when did this happen where you finally decided, okay, that's it. I think I'm going to travel to a lot of countries, not just for vacation or not just to go to the beach, but to literally every country in the world. When did this happen?
I think it's a slow progression. I don't know if I necessarily wanted to do that from the start. I know in pharmacy school, I loftily said, oh, it'd be kind of cool to see every country in the world, but didn't really have any kind of plan towards that. Part of it had to do maybe in 2013 after I'd seen all 7 continents. specifically Antarctica. And then back in 2015, I was in Easter Island, and right before I left, I downloaded a book called, is it Chasing 193? Oh God, I'm pretty sure that's the name of the book. I have to look it up really quick. But that book featured maybe 30 extreme travelers, people I had never heard of, but all these people had gone to every country in the world.
Mm.
And one traveler in specifically who was featured at the end, and I remember him because he was featured at the end, his name was Johnny Ward, and a lot of people may know of him because he's a really famous blogger, but he was not that much younger than me, and he was trying to be the first Irishman in the world, or the first Irishman to see every country in the world, or all UN countries in the world. And I thought, well, he's not that much younger than me, and if he can do it, why can't I? I've been to some, like a lot of these places that he had gone to. So after I read that book, I started following him, and then I realized I really am able to do this with my job schedule and with my salary. It is truly possible to do this.
So let's talk about the year 2013, where you were able to visit all the 7 continents. That's really awesome, because that is one of my dreams as well, to be able to step on the 7 continents, and you were able to do it in 1 calendar year. So it's how are you able to do it? Did you take time off from work or something? Can you tell us about that year 2013?
Well, to give you some background, I'm a pharmacist in a retail setting. My store is open 24 hours. So I work night shift. I work 7 nights in a row, and then I'm off 7 days in a row. So when I'm off, I have a partner who works that week, and then I come back on the next week.
Mm.
When I take a week off of work for vacation, if you think about it, I have 3 weeks off. I have 1 week of my week off, then my vacation week, which I was supposed to work, and then 1 week of my week off. So I have 3 weeks altogether. So in this time frame, I can get more time off. And back then, they didn't have PTO. They had paid time off. They let us have our vacation time in January 1st. So I had already applied for it, asked for a couple days extra, had switched with some other pharmacists to get more time off. So I was able to go to Antarctica. So when you think about it, flying from Chicago to Buenos Aires, so that's South America.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also flew from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia, also considered at South America. And when you think about it, Chicago is already in North America. So you already hit 2 continents here, okay?
Right.
Then from Ushuaia, which is where most of the cruise ships leave, we took, I think, around a 3-week cruise, because it went through South Georgia Island, and eventually got onto Antarctica. So that's continent number 3.
Right.
So this was January 2013, and I was fulfilled at this point. Absolutely fulfilled. I had seen the most magical things in 3 weeks that I thought, well, my life's great right now. I don't need more.
Yeah.
And Antarctica was amazing, and I highly recommend it.
So after that, in January, the rest are kind of like scattered all over the year. It's not like one big trip, right?
Exactly. So what had happened when I came back was one of my friends had said, oh, you should check out the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which comes out every February.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, okay, that's cool. I mean, this person was also female, and she had no idea that I had no idea what she was talking about. When I looked at it, though, that year they had featured every continent in the world. So each model was wearing a swimsuit in every continent. So the model of the cover was Kate Upton, and she was featured in this beautiful white coat in Antarctica. And then you go on to another girl, and she was in Easter Island, which is considered South America.
Right.
So that got the wheels turning, and I thought, wait a minute, this is really possible. I've already hit 3 continents in January. I still have all this time left. And I've already hit the seventh. Antarctica was my seventh continent. So I thought, whoa, is this going to be possible to hit the quote unquote travel grand slam
Right. In one calendar year.
in one calendar year? So I knew I had some other upcoming trips headed. So I had Cuba. So that's still North America. I had Iran. So technically that is considered Asia.
Asia.
And then on my way to Iran, I had a long layover in Istanbul where I slept on the European side.
The European side
there
of Turkey.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah, so by April, I had Europe, which was Istanbul, Turkey,
Istanbul.
and then Iran. So that was Asia. So that was 5 continents. So all I needed left was Australia
Africa.
and Africa. Yes.
Right. That's really interesting. So how about your trip to Antarctica? A few people have been there and we don't have an idea of how it is like to visit that continent. So can you tell us how did this happen and what was your experience there? What did you eat or where did you sleep? Like, we just know Antarctica's a huge block of ice, right? So tell us more about it.
Well, for a Chicagoan who sees a lot of snow, the snow part wasn't that enthralling to me. But once you got there, you'd see these magical snow sculptures made by nature, and it's amazing when you think about it. But really, I wanted to just see what was out there. And so the most common way was to go by cruise ship. So like I said, a lot of the ships go from Ushuaia and Argentina. Even a lot of Australians go to South America because they all had told me that it's cheaper for them to fly to South America and go through the cruise ship from there than to go on a cruise ship from Australia or New Zealand. So depending on your time frame, you could just do a very short trip, which I think is about 7 or 9 days. I think that's the shortest trip because they give you 1 to 2 days to cross the Drake Passage, which is the most notoriously awful seasick ridden passage ever in the world. But my trip was 3 weeks because like I said, we were seeing South Georgia Island and some other islands before we headed to Antarctica.
So basically you stay in the ship. There's no hotel in Antarctica, something like you'll stay there, right?
I believe there is a hotel in Antarctica, but in order to do so, it is very expensive. From what I understand, it's 50,000 euros. So probably about the equivalent of about 60 to 75,000 American dollars. So
that's crazy.
Hey, to all my friends that have done this. Next
That's a lot
time,
of money.
let me come with you. Yeah. But I think I have met a couple people that have done this and they say it's worth it. But for me at the time, I did not have that money or felt comfortable spending that much money on that. So the boat was the cheapest way to go. And really, if you have a lot of time and you are not stuck, but if you're in Argentina for a long time, there is a way for you to go on these cruise ships a lot cheaper. If you just kind of hang around Ushuaia for, they say 3 days to a week, depending on like when the ship leaves, but you can get it at a heavily discounted price because they don't always fill up the ships. So basically you're on the cruise boat. It's small passenger. The one I went on was 133 passengers or something like that. And you have lectures in the morning, you have breakfast and lunch, and then you have lectures in the evening. And then if there's a place for them to land, we are in Zodiac boats once or twice a day to see what is on the particular island or site, the destination.
So let's talk about the countries that you've been to where not a lot of people visit. Countries such as, for example, North Korea or Mogadishu, like these kinds of countries where people are afraid to go or is quite inaccessible and it's hard to get to. So what are these countries that are the highlights of your trip in general? highlights, so to say, because not a lot of people visit. Can you enumerate these countries and maybe tell us about your experiences in these countries?
I think in general that there is a lot of bad reputation concerning these countries. And it's mostly because of our media. And so we believe what the media tells us. But
Mhm.
if you want to know the true story or even the story for yourself, it's best to see it for yourself and make your own opinion.
Right.
So one of the beautiful benefits of trying to see every country in the world is that I cannot discriminate. So I'm going to have to see it, right? So
Mhm.
it opens my eyes to things that I never even thought were possible or thought were even available to me, like Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan, places that I didn't know were even relatively safe for a woman or for an American or for a Filipina, just in general, or just people in general, other than being a soldier. Um, so I will say that maybe initially these places were not on the top of my list, but because I would like to see every country in the world, I made it more of a priority, especially as I was getting older, because I really didn't want to be toward the end of this dream or this goal and have the worst problems with visas or with bathroom, because it's very easy for men, okay, but it is not easy for women to like take off this hijab and then take off your skirt or pants and then you're doing a squat toilet. It's horrible. So I'd rather have it when I have flexibility right now. So those are really more of my issues in trying to see and prioritizing these countries. And I found that even though they have a bad reputation, I've had wonderful experiences in them. Some of my best times in my life have been in these countries because these people are so willing to show you their country and so hospitable that you walk away thinking, what was the media saying about this? This
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah, I remember my trip to North Korea when you were telling that before that, a lot of people warned me not to go there, or even they're concerned people, my friends, relatives, and you can understand they're concerned because of the media and all that stuff. But when I get there, I just discovered the people are so nice, and usually if you just follow the rules, it's very safe. And I had a great time in North Korea. Like we're talking about, we went to this mausoleum of the leaders, and I had this awesome experience. And I think yours is even better because you saw this jersey of Dennis Rodman in one of the museums. So how was that experience? How did it happen?
Right before I went, I think that's when Kim Jong-un had invited Dennis Rodman, somewhere within like that year. And so being a basketball fan, growing up and watching the Bulls and Dennis Rodman play
The Last Dance.
when I was younger, and we talked about The Last Dance, and having a lot of friends that were into basketball. I remember specifically being in some kind of room where it was called a gift room, and now I've been there 4 years ago, so please forgive me because I don't know all the names of these buildings, but this specifically was a gift room where all the gifts were displayed by all guests from North Korea.
Mhm.
And specifically, it was Dennis Rodman. And so I remember one of my tour mates saying, "Hey, look at that." And this was in a room where there was like a dead stuffed polar bear as one of like the gifts.
From which
I said,
country was
"What?"
that? The polar bear.
I'm pretty sure it was Russia. And
Maybe from Putin.
it may have been because I don't actually remember the year, and because we were not allowed to take pictures in the gift
Right.
room. So this is simply brain memory. So I said, what are you looking at? And my friend said, hey, look. And it was a jersey from Dennis Rodman. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I have to tell all my friends because they're such big basketball fans.
Yeah, it was crazy when they told us that the rooms there in a hotel, they are bugged. So me and my roommate, when we try to talk about the leader, sometimes he will warn me not to talk about the leader because the room is bugged. So did you have that feeling of being watched while you were in North Korea as well?
A little bit. And also my roommate, my assigned roommate was South Korean from LA. So she could understand Korean. So when we
Yeah.
watched TV, she would tell me exactly what was being said. And so we would start talking about our days because our particular tour was so busy because it was the marathon tour. So we actually had
Hmm.
two big buses that week. So she was on one bus and I was on a different bus, and each bus had 30 people. So we would exchange information of like what happened during our day. And so we would start gossiping about it. And I started to get nervous. I was like, I would just do one of these, like, let's talk about it later. But
Right.
after we left, we texted a lot about it. So
Yeah.
and
And
go on.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I recently was in Estonia in October, and there is this, is it Estonia? Yeah, Estonia. And there is this hotel called Hotel Viru.
Hmm.
And same kind, it reminded me so young of the Yongato in Pyongyang, because back then, what I learned on the day tour was that uh, Estonia had just opened up their waters, and so it was sort of like North Korea at the time, back in the 60s or 70s, where you had to apply for a visa, and not everyone could come in. You had to have a special reason. This hotel was full of entertainment, so there was, they had drivers specifically for the guests if they needed to go out.
Hmm.
Everything was stocked, so you couldn't go really start exploring
Wait,
the country.
when was this?
October of 2019, just 6 months ago or 7 months ago.
That's interesting.
And so what the guide was saying is that even the plates were bugged. It was double plated so that there was a
Yeah.
microphone in the plate. And I thought this was so fascinating. And I thought, how many times had I just randomly said something during breakfast buffet at the Hotel Yongato and like hope to God didn't say anything crushing the leaders or the government or anything concerning the country.
Yeah. So obviously, when traveling, there are some risks that you might encounter. So, did you have any dangerous experiences in your travels?
One of them was when I was a lot younger, and I was in Nicaragua at the time. I was with my guide hiking, and he had invited two other people. They were on their honeymoon. They were Nicaraguan as well. And we came back to the hotel, and for some reason, that hotel had water problems all day, even though we were in Isla Ometepe, and it's surrounded by water. So I don't understand why the hotel was having water. And this was a budget hotel. I think my room was $5. So the couple and I and the guide started playing cards, and we decided we were going to get dinner. When we initially walked into the hotel, which led into the dining rooms already, there was a bunch of guys that were sitting there and drinking, probably like 5 or 6 guys. Didn't pay attention to it. It was afternoon. As we were playing cards, it started to get late. So I know how dinner takes in a lot of countries. You sometimes have to wait 35 to 40 minutes before you get your meal. So I thought,
Right.
well, I was hiking. Maybe I'll go take a shower really quick and then come back downstairs. So I went upstairs, water wasn't working, had to come downstairs, talk to the guy. And my Spanish is relatively decent. Back then it wasn't the best, but it was still okay enough to communicate. And so the owner went upstairs, fixed it, came back down. I went back upstairs. I undressed, and as I was in the shower curtain, about to turn on the water, I hear several like knockings and taps. And I realized that the door had not been properly outfitted to the frame. So there was almost like a bigger crack than normal.
Mhm.
And so I saw two guys peering inside and then trying to talk to me in Spanish. And I said, I said in Spanish, like, I'll talk to you downstairs. I said that something like abajo or something like that. And then, I said, no, voy a hablar, downstairs, like later, más tarde. And like, it just kept going on. I was getting really nervous because obviously it was behind the shower curtain and I was already naked.
Right.
And no one was upstairs no one was upstairs. This was a shared bathroom. And I forgot to mention earlier the wind was really loud that night.
Mhm.
And in South and Central America, not a lot of times the roof is permanently attached on the building. It's sort of thatched, so all this wind was like coming through, and it was so loud. So I was really getting more nervous because if something had happened to me, no one can hear me downstairs if I'm screaming because the wind is so loud.
Yeah.
So finally I screamed, "Déjame en paz," which means leave me alone. And so they ran away. I took a shower, and when I got out of the shower, the door was wide open. And I freaked out because I didn't know if it was the wind, or I don't know if the guys were playing around with the door or what happened. So I immediately got dressed and ran downstairs and like pretty much threw a fit in like the worst kind of Spanish possible, like to convey that I was like really upset about this, because it wasn't the fact that they might have played out on the door. It was the fact that I could have possibly gotten raped or attacked and no one would have known what would happen until it was too late. So luckily the girl of the couple knew enough English, and she could tell that I was really upset and like trying to explain what had happened and why I wanted these guys kicked out of the hotel. And later I realized they weren't even guests of the hotel. They were just sitting there drinking. So luckily the owner took my side after much explanation and kicked the guys out. But it made me realize that I could be vulnerable. So I decided that from now on that I would either stay in hostel dorms with just females only, and particularly one that had a bathroom inside the door, so ensuite bathroom. Or if I had my own room, I'd start carrying around like a door stopper, so that if I ever felt uncomfortable, I'd have the door stopper. And then if there was a door or if there was a chair, I could sort of lean the chair or desk against the door just in case I felt very uncomfortable in sort of situations like this. So that's pretty much my only dangerous one. I learned really quickly. Also, I'm from a big city, so I'm pretty much always on guard with like carrying my purse a certain way. I have a crossbody purse just to make sure no one's grabbing it from me. So I'm always like protecting my purse and just always sort of looking around to make sure like I'm aware of my surroundings.
Right. So before we go to we have some questions here. What is your message for women out there who want to explore the world but are scared? Especially there's a connotation that if you're a woman, you should not be traveling alone, or at least be with someone, or even not travel at all, something like that. So what is your message to all women out there who really wanted to explore, but there's a bit of hesitation because of maybe something would happen?
First and foremost, it's 2020, so women should not be traveling. Women should be traveling. But the most important tip that I would have is that if you feel very uncomfortable going by yourself, then I think the best thing for you to do is to ease yourself into it. So there are a lot of tour companies, two in particular, that will take single travelers and then just pair you up with a roommate, or you can pick your own room, but you might have to pay more. So if you want to see, let's say, Jordan, but you're uncomfortable because it's the Middle East and there's a lot of back talk about the Middle East. There are a lot of companies that will do this for you, and you can join a tour group. Or if you have a hobby and that hobby takes you to other countries, for example, if you are a runner or if you like yoga, there are plenty of places in the world where you can do running activities or do a race or you can join a yoga studio for a week or 2 weeks or whatnot in a different country. And a lot of these places have programs or built-in days off so that you can see the town or you can see parts of the country. Another thing that I've done is do some volunteer work. As I've mentioned, Johnny Ward is a blogger, and he's now created his own charity called Mudita Adventures. And the great thing about that is that you do charity work for 3 days, and then the rest of the 2 weeks you're traveling throughout the country. So I did one in Bali, and I thought this was like a really great way to not only give back to the community, but also see the rural sites of Bali, which no one has ever seen or no one cares to see because it's not near the beach. And you're learning more about culture and about the people, and you're also meeting more travelers who are like-minded. So, and then by that you can have more traveler friends, and then you don't have to feel so uncomfortable about traveling alone because now you've made more friends.
Yeah, they even say Bali is one of those destinations to go to if you're brokenhearted.
I would agree
Because of the
with
movie
that.
Eat, Pray, Love, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so we have.
Do you have a story, Regin?
It's your time. So
Off camera then.
Julia Roberts. Anyway, John Opal, one of the PGEs
Hi,
as well.
John.
Is that the iron ore train in Mauritania on your background?
It is the iron ore train in the background. Thank you for asking.
And then Risa said, yes, there is such a book, Chasing 193.
Thank you.
And then Don said it's by Ryan Trapp, Chasing 193 by Ryan Trapp.
And I think there are 2 books now. There's a second edition. Yeah.
And Summer asked this question, what was your budget preparation like prior to your trips? Maybe she meant, do you set aside a budget, or just you have your travel fund immediately, or how do you do it?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to call it, the travel fund.
Like you have a jar, okay, $1 a day.
Pretty much. I feel like this is a really serious question, but everyone handles their money differently. So I may not be the best person to ask. And in America, there are a lot of options for credit cards and points, and there are a lot of people that hack their way through this. I know it's a lot different now, and it's going to be a lot different after COVID is cured or there's a travel vaccine and airlines come back into business full-fledged. But I will say that travel has always been a priority. So other than paying my bills, like my mortgage and my cell phone bill and the car, and then paying off my student loans, travel has always been a priority. I don't spend money on clothes. If I buy clothes, maybe I'll pick up something when I'm in another country, but I will forego eating so I can travel. And I don't think that's the right advice for anybody, but
don't eat so you can travel. Okay. Starve yourself.
Travel fulfills me so much that I don't have to eat as much. I don't have to drink as much. I don't need to be clothed as much. I am so fulfilled by it that I will make it a priority.
Exactly. So since you've mentioned that, what do you think are the benefits of traveling?
Well, I've been traveling for a long time now. Let's say a decade plus, or even 2 decades plus. So I will say that in the beginning, I've always been determined and maybe outspoken, but I've also learned patience. I've learned to trust my intuition. I've learned to trust myself. I've learned to be more sensory aware. So that way I know that if I can trust a stranger immediately, or if I feel very uncomfortable, I am going to walk away immediately. So I think those just simple, basic overall sensations I've learned how to do. It's given me so much wealth in knowledge, much more than I could ever read in a book, much more than I could ever watch on TV, sitting in a chair. Right. I can't describe to you what it smells like in Antarctica. I can describe to you, but it's only what you think it smells like and what you portray to your friends, but it's only your sensation.
All right. So I'm looking at your picture on your Instagram. This one.
Oh yes.
It says it's in Mogadishu. So can you tell us more about this country? I haven't heard so much about this country. I think the only time that made me had an idea of this country was when I was watching a Bond movie, Casino Royale. The first scene was when Bond went to Mogadishu and he had an adventure there, chasing criminals, all that stuff. And it has a connotation of being a dangerous country. And you visited it and you were surrounded by, what are these, soldiers kind of thing, bodyguards? So can you tell us about this picture?
Sure. So Mogadishu had always been on my list. As I said before, traveling to every country in the world, you do have to somewhat go to these very dangerous destinations. But I'm going to say this. When I met my guide, he had asked the four of us where we were all from. And we were all four Americans. And I was the last one to go. And I said, Chicago. And he said, oh, that's so dangerous. And I laughed thinking, we're in the most dangerous city of the world right now. And you're telling me my hometown is dangerous. So it's all a matter of perspective. I met some travelers in Iraq, in Baghdad. Again, Johnny Ward had organized a trip and it appealed to more extreme travelers. So I met 3 other travelers in Iraq. And the last night we said, we should go to Mogadishu. And it just all of a sudden happened. I had friends who had already gone. So I was already hooked up with their fixer or guide. I arranged the trip for all 4 of us, which I think is noteworthy to say, just as a woman, first of all, in a Muslim-dominated country or Islamic-dominated country, as an American, where they might have not had such good feelings for Americans due to Black Hawk Down. And yeah, so and then it was in general just very dangerous. So leaving for Mogadishu, I remember I was very, very, very nervous because of all the things I had heard. Even if I had been to all these other countries that had a very high danger profile, I was still very nervous going to Mogadishu because of all, first of all, the plane was not marked. So, a lot of carriers have their advertising of Kenya Airways or whatever on the side of the plane. There's nothing on this plane. It's a white plane because they don't want to distinguish it from any other plane so it doesn't get bombed down. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is that I was so nervous that one of my friends had to give me a nausea medication so I could calm down. In my head, I thought, okay, if something really happens to us, I am ultimately responsible. Even though these people had decided to join me, I'm ultimately responsible for this because I organized this. But it turned out so wonderful. Of course, with any kind of dangerous place, the security was very high, which is why in my Instagram you can see that that we had so many soldiers with us, and we had so many soldiers in the car with us, outside the car with us. The car was also armored, so in case anything had happened, they were on it. And when we got there, our guide had told us, or our fixer had told us, that they wake up every morning very early to pray. But right after they pray, they scan all the news reports and whatever their local communication is to make sure that they don't go the routes that were hit the day before. So they're very vigilant about safety.
Yeah. It's interesting because when I went to North Korea, I met a traveler there. He's already in his late 70s. And his goal is also to visit every country in the world. So he told us his story when he visited Afghanistan, that when they're on the tour visiting places, they actually wear an actual what do you call it, bulletproof vest in Afghanistan. That's what he told me. So you mentioned you were able to visit Afghanistan as well. So this is a very fascinating country, especially it's always on the media. So how was your visit there? Was it really dangerous, or how about the people?
Well, in order to fit in, which I highly recommend to any women that are trying to see every country in the world,
Mhm.
first and foremost, if you're going to a so-called dangerous country, try to fit in with the locals. So you can see in that Instagram photo of Mogadishu, I had a local outfit. I bought in Hargeisa, Somaliland, a few years before. And because of that, we actually, and I had advised the other girls to come with me and join me in wearing sort of a similar outfit because it would make more sense if we all were dressed the same. And so because of that in Mogadishu, we were able to get more time with the locals, and they actually appreciated it a lot more that we dressed like them or like the locals, and we were respectful of their culture. And the same thing goes with Afghanistan. So again, I went with a tour company, the same tour company that specializes in tours in North Korea, and they had a different sort of approach. Their approach wasn't high security because they thought it would attract more attention. It was more low security.
Okay.
So regular kind of van, like minivan or two minivans. They kept the group size very small at 7, I think. And all the boys had to dress like locals. I also had to dress like a local. So they gave me clothes specifically so I would fit in so that we would not garner attention.
Right. So how about when you were in Iraq? Because of its reputation, did you really feel unsafe when you were there? Because when I was in North Korea, despite of its reputation, I didn't feel unsafe at all. How about you when you were in Iraq?
I agree with you. Oops. I agree with you with North Korea. I feel like it's one of the safest countries in the world, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. As long as you abide by the rules, it's
Right.
really safe. And with Iraq, particularly, I was nervous because Johnny had invited 16 other people to join him on this trip, or 15 other people. So there was a big group of us. So I thought, okay, this is entirely different from my Afghanistan experience. The only thing that really made me very comfortable about this before I had left is that he had invited his mother. So I thought, well, if he's inviting his mother, and I know from posts that he was very close to his mother, I'm like, nothing can really go wrong. He would not put his mother in danger. He would put himself in danger, of course, but not his mother. So I thought, all right. And with countries where I'm not sure what the actual dress is for foreigners, I am more conservative. So I will wear pants, not leggings, but like black jeans or black pants that are not too tight, and then like a shirt that covers my butt, because that is very appropriate, almost like a tunic, and then long sleeves. So, and then I always have like a hijab with me or a scarf to make sure if we go to mosque, I'm properly covered. I didn't even realize when we went into a mosque that my lipstick would be a problem. So they made me wipe it all off and wash it off before I even went into the mosque.
Yeah.
So, but generally, I feel like those are really good tips to have in terms of traveling as a female, because if you always have a skirt, you're appropriate for church or mosque or any kind of place of worship. And if you have, and then you can also use it as a job if you have pins, and if you don't, I bought something akin to like almost like a reverse ski mask where I could just put it on and put another layer on so that all my hair is covering.
Right. So when you were in Iraq, were you able to mingle with the locals?
Yes, we mingled. This is actually really weird, but yes, there was some kind of entertainment club in like outside of the hotel. So we actually had long discussions with the workers, because they're just waiting for more people to show up. So it was really interesting. And then generally, because it is a big group, we did attract more attention. I will say that we were only there for a few days, very limited time, maybe three or 4 days. So we did attract a lot of attention, and a lot of locals wanted to take pictures with us. But to me, that's not really outside of the norm for me now, because as a Filipina traveling alone, or just in general, they don't see many Asians in Africa. So I'm always asked to take photos with people.
Oh, Tita Odette is watching. Hi, Tita Odette.
Hi.
Odette Ricasa is the most traveled Filipino. So she's watching right now, and she has a question. How do you know a fixer is real, trustworthy, or scam who will run or take your money?
I think that's a really good question. Generally, I've been blessed with my extrovert personality, and I've made a lot of friends that are also trying to see every country in the world. And so they have a good network. I now have a good network. So generally, I would not trust somebody unless they were vetted by another person that has already used them. And I would trust this person's opinion because they've already been to several countries and they had very good things to say. So I know one in particular, when I was in West Africa, I wasn't getting a good feeling. I was talking to one of my friends who was with me. He said, well, he's okay, but, and I said, you know what, this is not worth my time. Like, I'll just, if I don't feel this, I'm not going to use this person, even if he's okay. So I think that's the best way that I've learned personally about how to use a fixer. But when you're first starting out, it is very difficult. I think every passport stamp has been really beneficial here.
All right. Let's talk about your favorites. I always get this question. Your favorite. Okay, let's start with, because you've been to 7 continents. So let's start with continents. Which one is your favorite continent?
Oh, that's unfair.
It is unfair, but we have preferences, right?
No, actually, I don't, to
Really?
be honest with you. Yeah, because every continent is so special, right? So I say, first and foremost, I wouldn't say Antarctica is my favorite, but it is the most special and really, truly once in a lifetime opportunity. So if you do have the money, or you prioritize this trip out of all the trips in the world or in your lifetime, this is the one to do it, because never in your life will you be able to see 200,000 penguins.
Oh man.
Yeah, on South Georgia Island, or even more, or even less. You will never be able to see that anywhere else in the world. Ice formations maybe, but like that many penguins, when you yourself are the minority, you'll never see that.
You're the minority. Okay. Penguins dominate a part of the world.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, we have traffic, lots of penguins on the road, something like that.
I'm particular to Africa only because I just love it, warts and all. I know there's a lot of problems. People don't really always like the hassle or the bureaucracy, but I adore Africa. And I think if you ever go on a safari, it will change your life. It will change your mind. Definitely. It will change the way you think, because you will see how animals look in the zoo, and then you saw them in a safari and you think, this is totally different. And then culturally, it's just so different than what we have been used to as Filipinos. So of course, Asia is up there, because how can I say it's not my favorite continent? Or how can I say North America is not my favorite continent? I've spent so much time on both, right? And then South America has so much to offer, and I speak Spanish, so I feel very comfortable there. And then Europe has so much to offer. So what's left? Australia? And how can I diss my Aussie friends? Like, no, like every continent is so special. So I do not have a favorite one. I'm sorry.
This is even harder. I get this a lot. Favorite country?
Okay. This is a very hard question. I agree. But I do have an answer.
Okay, good.
And it is, yes. Because I've practiced this so many times. No, it's Brazil. And I think mostly because it was my first country that I traveled to as a female solo backpacker. And it welcomed me with open arms. And obviously I didn't die after so many people warning me that it was dangerous because of all the favelas, and I didn't speak Portuguese. But I love it so much. It's very diverse, and people are so diverse as well. There's so much you can learn, and it's a really big country. So I love it so much because, one, I think Brazilian Portuguese is so sexy. It's really, really sexy. But two, they have great food. They have the Pantanal, they have Foz do Iguaçu, they have Rio, which is one of my favorite cities. They have so many places that are still yet for me even to discover. And I've been there 4 times. So I try to see a lot in the country that I'm at. So and I try not to go back because of course I want to see other countries. But
Yeah.
for me to say that I've been there multiple times says a lot about this country. So Brazil is my answer.
Were you able to visit the Amazon in Brazil?
Not on the Brazilian side, in the
Peruvian side.
Actually Ecuador.
Ecuador.
Yes,
Okay.
Ecuador.
All right. Last week, we had our Zoom session with Philippine Global Explorers. Tita Odette mentioned that her favorite cuisine is Spanish. And obviously, she loves Spain. So, how about you? What is your favorite cuisine of all the 149 flavors that you've experienced? Which one is your favorite food?
How many of my friends are watching? Because I have to
So-
acknowledge all their countries.
You have to choose one. And don't forget Filipino cuisine. You'll be in trouble if
Okay.
you forget
Oh, I
adobo.
know. Okay. So first and foremost, my father's cooking. So that's my absolute favorite. Even when my dad comes to the States, I let him cook, even though I shouldn't, because
Is that like
I
a
know
what,
I'll
what
never.
I dish or something?
No, just the way he cooks. I just miss my father's cooking. He
Okay.
was a great cook, and he cooked
Alright.
all through my childhood. So
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, and he doesn't really cook in the Philippines because he has other people that will do it for him. So when he comes to the States, I always ask him to cook.
Okay.
But I will say it's probably a tie between Mexico and Italy, and
Oh,
more likely Mexico because I love tacos. But then I also love Mediterranean food, and that's so many countries' cuisine. So, but how about right now we just go with tacos? So
right.
Mexico.
Yeah, I remember when I was in Mexico, I had this very authentic dish that was in Piste, the town where Chichen Itza is. And it's my first time having that dish despite Mexican restaurants being all over the world. And I've read this article that says Mexican food in the US is not Mexican. Like there's a Mexican chef who said that it's totally different in the US compared to the real deal when you go to Mexico. Do you think that's true?
Probably. I mean, I think that the street tacos are amazing. So obviously, I don't live in California where this is rampant, right? But like
Yeah.
Chicago has a really good base for tacos. So I think that the ones in Mexico are a lot better, of course.
Yeah.
But I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. Since you live in Chicago and you've mentioned Italian food, how do you compare the what they call it pizza of Chicago compared to an Italian pizza? Like they're totally different, right?
They're
Like the
totally
size
different.
and the texture. Which one do you like better?
Oh, both. I love pizza too. I probably could eat pizza every day. I know that's not a really good. I know I don't have a firm answer, but Chicago's pizza is so different because it looks almost like lasagna. So it's very filling after 1 to 2 pieces, whereas other countries or even just Italy's is thin crust. So you can
It's thin
eat
crust.
a lot
Mm-hmm.
and you can eat multiple toppings and you can eat it, several meals, more than one meal in a day. So you can get totally fulfilled off pizza in Italy. But I think there are other dishes besides pizza in Italy. And, it's not I wouldn't say it's their strongest dish because they always want you to eat other dishes there. So I'd still say their pasta or their meat dishes are their shining stars.
Yeah. So how about Filipino food? Do you have any particular favorite?
Lumpia Shanghai.
That's good. It's always present during birthday parties.
Yeah, I cannot not eat lumpia Shanghai.
Right. And Ryan, I think Ryan is your friend, Ryan De Los Reyes.
Hi.
He said US Mexican food is what we call Tex-Mex. So there you go, guys. It's Tex-Mex.
Not necessarily, because actually Texas Mexican food is different than Chicago Mexican food. So like there is actually a difference. And I know with toppings, especially in Texas, there are different toppings that they have, whereas American Mexican food may have, and just for tacos, may just have sour cream, lettuce, and tomato. Well, I don't like those. I I like specifically like the Mexican way, which is cilantro and onions in my tacos. So I think there are different ways of tacos in the US, but
Mhm.
specifically if you tell somebody that's from Texas that your taco is Tex-Mex, they will probably say no, no, no. So
Yeah.
they will definitely say no, this is the way of Tex-Mex. So
Oh, so we've been talking for almost an hour now, and it's almost time. So before we end, do you have any? First of all, you were traveling before the outbreak happened, right? You were on the road. So you're still on your quest to visit every country in the world, every UN recognized country in the world, and your count is how many countries have you visited?
149.
And these are just all UN countries, right?
This is just UN countries. I was supposed to hit my 150th before I had to turn around and go home. So I was on my way, and there was big drama to get home.
Good thing you weren't stuck wherever you were at that time.
I practically was stuck. So the key about getting home was that I had to be very vigilant about checking flights and, you know, checking borders and checking this and that. So I felt like I was in the Amazing Race. And thankfully, I was with a friend. So we were both doing this at the same time, checking, running. It really did feel like a competition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made it home.
Right, good. So April, you've been very inspiring to a lot of people, especially as a lot of people as well wanted to visit a lot of countries or even every country in the world, or even those who just wanted to see the world out there or have a vacation. You've been an inspiration, 149 countries, 7 continents. So do you have any final words to our viewers right now with regards to traveling, those who wanted to explore out there to follow their dream of traveling?
I would say go for it. If you have a love of travel or just anything else, it will always be your priority. So and if you have a goal or a dream, don't always trust yourself, always love yourself. And this is just in general, you should love yourself. Always believe in yourself because you're the only one who has to live your life.
All right, there you go. So April Peregrino, thank you so much for joining us and hoping for the best, especially in your quest to visit every country in the world. You're now 149. So how many more left? I'm so bad at math. 193 minus 149. So there you go, guys. Just do the math. So thank you once again for joining us.
Thanks, Regin. This was a pleasure.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye.